Hello and welcome to Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and today we are finishing out Keanu Reeves month with a trippy one. We are reviewing Scanner Darkly, which is based on a work by Philip K. Dick. This is, well, let's see. I was a little familiar with it because I had started reading the book. I did not finish the book. I probably read about a third of it and said, "This is really weird." And I don't think you had read or seen any of it.
No. So I was not familiar with this at all. I just knew that it was filmed and animated in rotoscope. That is the only thing I knew about it, and I knew Keanu Reeves was in it. I did not know who anyone else was in it. I kind of intentionally went into this one blind.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So
which I actually, funny enough, so Cameron and I both watched this last night, and I was like, we were driving home. I'm like, hey, you want to watch a movie tonight? He's like, yeah, sure. I was like, well, I got to watch this movie for the show tomorrow, uh, and don't look anything up about it. And so I even was like, you're not allowed to know that it's rotoscope animated until we start watching the movie.
so the way we do this is we will do a non-spoilery review. So you can just decide if you want to watch the movie or not, and then we'll get into a spoilery story discussion.
hmm
So I'm going to describe the plot in as little detail as possible, but if you want to throw up some images there, we can do that.
Yeah.
So this is a movie about, I think his name was Bob Arctor,
Bob Arctor, yes.
and
Also known as Fred.
yeah, um, he is a drug user of a drug called Substance D. He lives with some roommates, and they are all getting high all the time, having paranoid, delusional discussions all the time, and we're just kind of seeing into their world. Just bizarreness, the discussions they're having, the
hmm
um, just strange lives they are living. The twist is that our main character Bob is also a undercover, I guess, a DEA drug enforcement agent. And to give this a little bit of a sci-fi twist, when he is interacting in the police department, he has I think they call them change suits, and
They're called. Oh no, they have a scramble suit.
scramble suits. Thank you. And so basically, their image is constantly changing every second, and their face is like being made up of multiple different pieces of faces constantly. That way, they can keep their identity a secret from each other and stay undercover for their protection. Um, the issue with our character is he has been taking the drug substance D, and it is starting to fracture his psyche, and he doesn't quite know if people are doing things to him or he's the one doing it. He doesn't know. And for a large part of the movie doesn't really tell us who is. I assume it's him, but the movie doesn't really tell us. And then I'll say this: a lot of the movie is just crazy ramblings, and then about the last 20-30 minutes, we get to the actual plot. So,
hmm Yeah.
we won't talk about the plot until we get to the story discussion. This film is autobiographical in nature. Philip K. Dick, after his wife left him, let a bunch of teenage drug users move into his house. He himself being addicted to drugs and experienced and saw a lot of things that happened in this story.
Yep.
Um, so I think that's all I want to say plot wise.
Yeah. No, that is probably as non-spoilery and as concise as one could make it.
Yeah, let's talk about the cast real quick. We got our main character is Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Winona Ryder playing a dealer known as Donna. That
Yep.
is his sort of girlfriend, his girl as they refer to it, although they don't really have a physical relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we also have Robert Downey Jr., who was probably the best character in the movie. Uh,
Absolutely. As James Barris.
yes, and then Woody Harrelson. Which, while I thought Woody Harrelson was good, I don't know. He just kind of felt like he was just playing like a silly character. I don't know if he was as good as Robert Downey Jr.
I
He
mean,
was
he
fun.
was playing a silly character.
Yeah, yeah. Lastly, we have Rory Cochrane, who you may know from Empire Records, Dazed and Confused. He was Speedle, CSI Miami. He was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Um, Whenever we get to the plot, there's something that it took me a second to notice it. But we'll get to that. Because it's about the opening scene.
the The film is animated, and after watching the movie, I think this can only work as an animated movie.
Absolutely.
The scanner suits, the hallucinations. Uh, I just think it
Well,
works for
I
what film is going for.
I think it also works in like so when I was in college, uh when I was in college, I went to school for criminal justice, and they had these goggles, and I assume a lot of people know about these goggles, but I hadn't heard of them um, until my criminal justice course, where it uh, you put them on and it kind of simulates uh, the feeling of being uh, drunk, and so it's like this is and that's kind of the big thing. I think another thing that the animation goes towards, because it's a rotoscope animation, it and so it's they filmed it and they put it through like a program that digitally traced over the live action filming. And so there comes a point, and I don't exactly remember at what point, and I think that's the point. Um, is there comes a point where I'm watching the movie is starting to look more and more normal.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and then movie's over. I look over at Cameron and I'm like, "You, you look weird right now. I've been watching this movie for 2 hours, and now the real world looks weird." So I think that's another reason why the rotoscope animation really works for this. Uh, so here's the thing. I very much enjoyed this movie. I want to know what you thought, because you started to read the book and you said, "I can't do this anymore. This is horrible."
So I'll say this: this movie, from what I read of the book, again, I didn't read the whole book, is extremely accurate to the book. It starts out with the character of the bugs and him having to take a shower with the dog because he thinks the dog has the bugs on it also, and all that. I mean, it is extremely accurate,
Hmm.
um, which is something you rarely see. I think like like Disney's Holes was extremely accurate to the novel. There's other
Yeah.
movies where that but it's rare. Um, and I was reading that Philip K. Dick's family was nervous to have this film be made because it was so important to their dad, but he was so faithful to the book that they were okay with it. Um, it's a lot of drug culture and stuff, which I'm not really into. you know,
Hmm.
I think the movie is more entertaining than the book was. Just Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. When you're reading that text, it's different than seeing him act it out.
Right. Yeah.
So when you're trying to read the book, it's just page after page of gibberish. it's going nowhere.
Mhm.
It's just like, what?
Yeah.
And then you're mixing in, there's a little bit more talk about technology in the book, this weird sci-fi technology and stuff. And they're
Mhm.
like in the book, they mentioned that his stereo got damaged by one of the housemates. And Robert Downey Jr.'s character's like, "Oh, I can fix that," like he is in the movie. And but you don't quite know what the device is. It has like a weird name and stuff, and you don't quite know what it does and stuff. And so you're getting this weird technology you don't understand mixed in with all this crazy dialogue from druggies you don't understand.
Right, right.
And the plot's not going anywhere until you get towards the end of the book. So it was a difficult read. It was difficult to stay with it. And so I finally gave up and just read the Wikipedia summary. I was like, okay, I give up. Um, I think reading the Wikipedia summary of the novel helped this movie make more sense going into this, knowing some of the twists that we'll get into when we get to the story discussion.
Okay.
Uh, so I knew going in what the twists were at the end.
So I was not aware of like the plot. There was one thing that I called pretty early on, and I think the fact that I called it pretty early on kind of helped me. Uh,
so
with
let's do
yeah,
this. Let's go ahead and give our review stars, and then let's move into the story discussion because it's hard to talk about this movie without talking about
yes,
the twist.
yes, yes.
So I think movie wise, just for being entertained, a 7 out of 10. I thought this was,
Mm,
the animation was interesting, the characters were interesting. It just takes you have to sit for an hour to get to the last 30 minutes where the plot kicks in. And but I think that's part of, it feels like a drug trip. It feels like, what am I watching? What is happening?
yeah,
What is, and I think all that's, on purpose. I think the book's that way too. And then, you get to the twist at the end, and then you get hit with this message on the screen of, these are for my friends. And then he lists all of the friends he lived with and what happened to him. And it's
yeah,
heartbreaking.
yeah.
And when you're a kid, you hear about drug addicts and you're like, oh, those people are scum, whatever. And then when you get older and you realize that people are, for the most part, people are just hurting, and they made a wrong decision, and they're people. And it sucks, and you you see these conversations between these characters and you realize they're so fried, they're so gone. And it's just sad what happens. You look at like Robert Downey Jr.'s character, where he's kind of brilliant, but he's so crazy. And it's like, what would this guy have been like if he wasn't, you know,
I mean,
addicted to drugs?
the
Would he
funniest
be
thing is,
Iron Man?
right? That's what I'm saying. Is like he would be Iron Man. Uh,
It,
actually, that it's an interesting perspective because, forgive me if I'm wrong. You're from the Dare generation, right?
yes, yeah, I am from the Dare generation. And then when I got older, our church started the what's it called, Celebrating Recovery
Hmm.
program. So we were around a lot of people struggling with drugs at our church all of a sudden. And that helped change my perspective on not being judgmental towards people. Not, these are people that are hurting, they're trying to, life's tough.
Yeah,
Life is really hard. And when you're in the wrong situation, and you're hurting, you're looking for an out. I get it. Now I'm older, I get it.
yeah. The reason I ask is because I what I find very interesting is, you ask some people today and you look back at, the actual statistics and numbers. Dare didn't actually help. Um,
No.
Dare actually may have made things worse because they I mean they brought in the like, and this is cocaine and this
And
is
this
this
is
and
what
this
it
is,
does to you, and this
yeah,
is what causes the
yeah,
hallucinations, and these are more safer to take than these, and
yeah,
and it educated people, because otherwise, be honest, I have never. Okay, one time I was offered drugs, and I don't know if the guy was kidding or not. In my whole life, just one time.
yeah.
Actually, no, I'll take it back. The guy that I worked at Family Christian Bookstore with was a druggie. He never offered it to me, but he would talk about drugs all
Uh-huh.
the time. So,
Yeah. Well, and I mean when I worked at Half Price Books, I mean, yeah, I was never formally invited over to some houses, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but the reason I bring this up is because I'm like, you look at a movie like this, and you look at a movie like for a Dream, and I'm like, just show these. And this is gonna sound horrible. Just show these movies in school, you know,
yeah.
like that'll scare kids straight.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think teaching kids, oh, here's what all these drugs do, other than hey, just say no to drugs and just leave it at that, I think would have been fine. But instead of just bombarding people with drug information. Now you were educating them on what to take and what not to take. And I made this joke recently. I was like, I just mentioned I've only, like once or twice in my life been offered drugs. I get offered more drugs through my ads on my phone game than anything.
Right.
And I'm like, so it's like, yeah, Dare lied to me. It's not gonna be people on the street offering me drugs. It's gonna be my the games I'm playing on my phone that are offering me
Yeah.
drugs. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'll give this 2 ratings. It's movie wise, 7 out of 10. Faithfulness to the book, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the book, this is the book. So, what is your
Um,
ranking?
so I would I got Letterboxd, so I have to go stars. But I mean it's still like to go along with you. I'd probably give this like an 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
Um, just because I was kind of in even before the uh I was in before the plot started just because, like, I mean, the way that it looks is unlike anything I've ever seen before. Um, the way that, uh, like, just I'm a Tarantino guy, and so a film just about a conversation or just different conversations, like I can get down with that. And I mean, Woody Harrel, like he is just a goofy guy, but Woody Harrelson is hilarious in this movie. Um, the whole the whole thing about the bike gears.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. So I was in even before the plot started, and then once the plot started, then I was like, okay, I get this now. Um, so yeah, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I don't know if this is one that I will revisit often, um, but it it is so it is just such an interesting watch that it's not one that I won't revisit.
So, we're gonna switch over to our spoiler discussion now. It like I said, I think we've told you enough. So we're gonna get right into the spoilers.
All right, real quick,
And
as
yeah,
we get into the spoilers, someone told him that his house was bugged. that's
uh,
that's what it was.
which part are you?
At the beginning with Freck, where he's like getting the shower with all the bugs and
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
it's just because someone told him that his house might be bugged, and
What?
he took it literally.
The books talks about it's a little different because they say that is a common like final phase of of taking the substance D is seeing the bugs everywhere.
Okay.
But in the movie, yeah, it plays out. I can see why you would get to that joke there. Yeah, but in the book, it goes into detail about the substance D and the
Mhm.
effects and stuff. So
Well, I mean, it does make sense because Freck is definitely farther gone than the rest of them by the
by
beginning of the movie.
far, yes. And he plays it so good.
Yes.
I
And
always
it,
just call him Speedle from CSI. Hats off to Speedle. That was a fantastic performance.
I mean, do you want to know what's like the heartbreaking thing about Freck's character is I'm fairly certain that at one point he was just as close to the rest of the gang as like they were probably like a tight knit friend group of 5.
Hmm.
But just based on the movie, it definitely seems like he's just the weirdo who comes over sometimes.
Yeah, they definitely start shunning him once he is too far gone. And you did catch that he was at the rehab center at the end, right?
I didn't catch that. No.
When it's panning around, when Keanu gets put in the new path place, and it's showing like all the bald people. He's
Mhm.
one of the bald people at the table. That's one of those weird
Really?
things about the line. Yeah, yeah. So he survived. He's not dead.
Oh, he survived that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, his death scene. He survived that. That's just his
I
imagination.
I yeah. You know what? I actually don't know how I feel about that because I I found that I found his self expiration scene quite fascinating.
Yeah,
and I'm and I'm li- and so I'm like, oh man, like I mean his survival doesn't change the scene, I guess.
yeah. I think that part of him definitely died because now he's sober at the end. That part of his personality. Um, so let's talk about Winona Ryder and Keanu's characters. And throughout the movie, Bob is being tested by the drug people, and he's like clearly failing the test, but they don't seem to care that he's failing the test.
Yeah, that's where I was like getting I think it was those scenes that like really did confuse me.
Yeah, and so at the end, it makes sense where she's like, "Yeah, we needed somebody that was unwillingly totally addicted to the drugs, so we could get him into the rehab center because we believe the rehab center is getting the drugs. Um, that's where the drugs are coming from, is the rehab center, the garden at the end.
Hmm.
And so they needed a cop in there that was actually addicted. So they basically sacrificed Keanu Reeves unknowingly. They got him addicted on purpose to destroy his brain so they could get him into the rehab at the end.
Yeah, and then throughout the film, they are giving him subliminal messages, uh, so that way once he's in, he knows what to do unconsciously.
Yes.
Like, because like they kept bringing up like, did you give her the flowers? Did you give her the flowers? And I was like, what is that? What does that have to do with it? Um,
I didn't
and
even
yeah.
realize they were doing that till you just said it. Yeah,
Oh,
they are saying, "Did you give them the flowers the whole
yeah.
movie?"
Yeah. Well, but because if you think about it, like they just get someone hooked and then like what's the point of that?
Yeah,
No, they have to like they have to genuinely mess with his brain through subliminal messaging so that way he knows what to do even though he's too far gone.
gotcha. Okay, okay. See, I'll appreciate the movie. That's what I say. This movie's confusing. It is super confusing, and you really have to kind of pay attention and figure out which parts to pay attention, which parts not to pay attention to. There's a lot of
Yeah.
insane rambling, and Uh, so throughout the movie, Keanu's supervisor is a guy named Hank,
Hmm.
and at the end, you find out that actually it's Donna wearing one of the. Actually, her name's Audrey, but
Yeah.
wearing a change suit, and it's
So this is something that I somewhat called. Um, at first, I thought Hank was Barris, but then Barris comes in raving about how they're terrorists, and I'm like, okay, well then maybe it's uh maybe it's Audrey or Luckman.
mhm.
Um so uh that's kind of what I had in mind, because like the thing that I couldn't get behind, the thing that I couldn't comprehend was how does this organization run without keeping tabs on.
It's one of those things that if you think about this too hard, some stuff does fall apart. Of the undercover stuff, and wait, why are they undercover? Why are they undercover to each other? And there's just and the book talks about this. So it's like, well, if they knew that I was secretly dealing, they would da da da. And it's like, well, what are you actually supposed to be doing? It's weird.
Mhm.
It's the whole thing. And so throughout the movie, Keanu talks about, or Bob talks about, how he's frustrated that Donna won't be intimate with him.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, this is how I took it, that later Bob hooks up with a random girl. Well, it's actually Donna using the change suit to look like someone else. Is that how you took that scene?
Um, no, not exactly. I took it because I the reason I the reason I don't take it that way is because I don't think Donna would get intimate with him, or Audrey. I don't think she would get intimate with him because she knows where all this is headed.
I just felt like she felt so bad turning him down, and it's like, I cannot get involved in another cop. And then when he wakes up that next day, and when he looks over, he sees her instead. I just think it's one of those things that's unclear. Is it
Hmm.
the drugs messing with his head? Because then he plays back the recording and he sees the same thing he saw when he woke up. And I just thought that
Hmm.
that was the suit messing up, that it's really her.
Yeah. No, maybe. I really took it as like that is how bad his mind is at this
Perception is,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I would agree, other than him playing it back and pulling up the hologram of it. But it
No,
it could be that he's so screwed up, though. You're right that
yeah,
he's seeing it.
the hologram is kind of what, for me, what solidified, oh, that's how far gone is even in the hologram he still sees Donna. Um
And I also thought that maybe that was a hint that, okay, this is a movie telling you that nothing is what it seems. Hank's probably not what it seems, and then that's when it goes into the twist. Oh, it's Donna, you know.
mhm.
And it's interesting, that scene where Hank's like, "Oh, you're so far gone. I better call Donna," and then he's just talking to himself,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
um,
Uh, the thing that I found um, interesting is I feel like when Bob is in the Fred persona, I think he forgets that he's investigating himself.
yes, that's more clear in the books. Yes, he forgets that someone, that they're putting cameras in the house and this and that. And that's why I think that he was told to have everybody out of the house. And how to get everybody out of the house? Well, have the car break down. If I get the car broke down, then I'll guarantee it nobody's going to be in the house for so many hours. That's how I
Mhm.
took that scene.
Oh,
So
so he was the one that did that.
that's what I think. It doesn't tell
I mean,
you. It
no,
doesn't.
no, yeah. So I mean, part of me thought it was Barris who did that, because
I mean, that's what the movie kind of leads you to think. But I think Keanu did it, and
No,
I just
definitely
think
no.
he doesn't remember doing it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is the movie leads you to believe it's Barris, but with Barris, it doesn't make sense, like motivation wise.
Ferris though just does things because he thinks it works, and so you don't know why he's doing anything he's doing. Like the whole thing about the sunscreen, that they're hiding cocaine in the sunscreen if I put it in the freezer and all that.
That was
The
hilarious, and I almost bought it. I like he said it with such conviction that I'm like that I'm like because at first I thought it was like an As Always Sunny thing where like they were gonna be like huffing paint.
yeah,
Like no, we're gonna put this sunscreen in we're gonna put this
freezer.
in the freezer, and then because the cocaine is lighter. I have a question. How many times have we said cocaine, and is this as bad as saying the S word
I
on
don't know.
YouTube?
I have no idea. I think we're long enough. We're 30 minutes into the episode. We'll see what happens with this episode.
Yeah,
Not that we're monetized anyways. It doesn't really matter. But
yeah.
um,
Uh, but we like to feel like we're a part of the gang.
yeah, yeah.
But so it's lighter, so it rises up to the top of the bag, and that's how you can get cocaine for $3.
Yeah.
And like, there was a part of me that I'm watching it. He said it with such conviction that I'm like, are there some sunscreens that are like that? There's no way that. And I'm not even joking. I happen to have a bottle of sunscreen, like, because I took
They
my
don't want you
cousin.
to know, Caleb. They don't want you to know.
I took my cousin to Kentucky Kingdom yesterday, so I had a bottle of sunscreen on my counter, and I went and looked at it.
Well, I think we all have those. Um, well, I hope you have one of those charismatic friends that just says crazy stuff, and they say it with such conviction that you kind of believe them.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're not that friend, well, if you don't have that friend, you are that friend. You know?
Yeah, yeah. um, I do think that the discussion at the end between Aubrey and the other
Mike.
Mike, why are we doing this? That there's a hope that one day this drug war will be over, and that these sacrifices that we're making will, be worth it. And you know, it's a hopeful way of looking at things, but I think people will always find a way to get high off of something,
Hmm.
you know, and but also think that a lot of this, here we go, the crazy conspiracies. The government was responsible for so much of this,
Well,
and and
I'm fairly certain that that's what Philip K. Dick was insinuating
yes,
because the CIA was responsible, or supposedly responsible for some of the drug trafficking in. I can't think of the place.
I'm gonna
Um,
get the drugs wrong. I know I will, but I think they invented people got addicted to heroin, so they invented cocaine to get the people off the heroin. Then it's one of the two. I might have it backwards, but they were using one drug to treat the other, and then they just created a completely new addiction. you know,
mhm,
like in the early 1900s and stuff, and just and then there's all kinds of conspiracies that they purposely got certain areas and communities addicted to drugs to keep control of those areas, and
mhm.
awful things that the government has allegedly done. Yay, dare program, yay, everything. um so it's sad, and it's hopeful that maybe one day it won't be as bad as a problem, but I mean, we live in a really weird world where the 80s, I grew up in the dare program, and now it seems like drug culture is almost celebrated more than it was at least more than it was in the 80s. So stuff like, you have programs like Breaking Bad super popular, and I know it's not celebrating it because it shows like the bad side of it, but also oh those Walter White's a cool character, and
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, that's the interesting thing about Breaking Bad is the fact that I love Breaking Bad. It is one of my favorite shows ever, but there's a suspension of disbelief because in order to enjoy the show, you have to basically hate Skyler. But in the real world, you have to acknowledge that Skyler is right.
and Skyler's is he the
The
cop
wife.
or the wife? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, the one who's like, you need to stop this. We need to like she's the voice of reason, but
right,
she's also like, no, no, no. The cop, which is Hank, everyone loves Hank no matter what, because Hank's just doing his job. But Skyler, people hate Skyler because she is constantly trying to get in the way of the organization.
yeah,
But she's right.
yeah, yep.
But people also hate her. Which is why I was always confused why people compared why people compared Laurie from The Walking Dead to Skyler, uh, because Laurie wasn't right. uh, Literally waited like a month after her husband supposedly died.
Oh yeah,
But that's neither here nor there. That's AMC 10 years ago.
Ron Kirkman, everybody. Yeah. So, um, is this movie for everybody? No, I don't think so. But
Not
I
at
think
all. No.
I think it is an interesting look at a world that I am not involved in, and I there's movies like Big Lebowski and Fear and Loathing and all these
Which
movies.
I do love those movies myself.
And so I'm not a huge fan of Big Lebowski. I didn't get it.
Uh huh.
Of course, I was watching it on G4 where it was heavily edited, so I didn't know
Yeah.
what was going on. So, um, so yeah, this is not a me movie per
Uh
se,
huh.
but I get what he was trying to get across, and I think it is sad the plight of these people. And
What did you think of the Alex Jones cameo?
was there an Alex Jones cameo in this movie?
Oh my God! I'm so glad that I get to be the one to tell you this.
Okay,
Okay, so Alex Jones is in this movie.
okay.
And whenever I tell you who it is, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, definitely, that's Alex Jones. He's not even acting." Alex Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, the guy on the street.
Yep, yep. That's Alex Jones.
I had forgot about that scene, and that's one of those interesting scenes where you're like, okay, is he's hallucinating this? Is this happening? Is it?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then like the cops come and take him. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not. This isn't a meme where I'm like, oh yeah, this is Alex Jones. But it's like saying J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man No Way Home is Alex Jones. No, this is Alex Jones. Like he is on set of this movie. He is an actor. He is credited in the credits.
that's funny.
Oh man, no, it's hilarious. And I didn't catch it either. It wasn't until after the movie where Cameron's like, "So Alex Jones was in that movie," and I'm like, "What?" Oh man, it's
I was thinking he was going to be at the lodge meeting or whatever, but yeah, that makes sense. That's him. Yeah, yeah.
definitely. Um, yeah, I very much enjoyed this. How familiar are you with Philip K. Dick adaptations? Like I know I had you watch. We watched Blade Runner 2049, right?
Yes.
Okay,
And
which
then
is
I
not
went
which is
back
not
and
necessarily an adaptation
I
of.
went back and rewatched Blade Runner, which I had not seen for several years ago, and I didn't quite understand it then. I watched Blade Runner like 3 times now since then. I've read, I've
You know
come
what's
to
funny?
really appreciate that movie.
Funny enough, I still need to do that because I watched Blade Runner when I was like 15 and I didn't like it. But then 2017 comes around, 2049, it's one of my favorite movies. I still haven't gone back to Blade Runner yet. I need to do that.
It's I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorite movies, but it's getting there.
Okay.
If I keep watching it, I think I'll get there. Just the what's his name, Rutger Hauer's
Oh yeah.
speech at the end, and knowing that he basically was like, I don't like the script. Can I do this instead? And wrote all that himself. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So, and then I went and read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and then I'm kind of falling in love with that world of Blade Runner. Uh, and then I think this is it for movies I've seen that are Philip K. Dick movies. As far as I know, there may be something I've seen. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Philip K. Dick uh,
You ever
book.
see Minority Report?
I have not seen Minority Report.
Oh, okay. Paycheck?
I don't even know what that is. So,
Oh, it's a Ben Affleck movie.
okay.
Um, Did you watch any of Electric Dreams?
No.
Electric Dreams is an anthology series on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
That's kind of, it's kind of like Black Mirror, but they're just straight adaptations of Philip K. Dick's short stories.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the reason I ask is because so we're coming up on having to fill out the rest of the year, which I keep talking about. I just haven't done it yet. I know that Blade Runner 2099 is supposedly coming out this year. I almost want to do maybe like a Philip K. Dick.
I'd like to figure out a way to watch the anime. Um, we'll and we can discuss this offline. But
Oh,
yeah,
the what was it called? Black
Black
Lotus?
Lotus. I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it on HBO Max?
I don't think so, but if it is, I will watch it.
It's
I'll have
either
to see.
it's definitely either on HBO because it's a
It's Adult Swim, right?
yeah, Black Lotus was Adult Swim, so I'm fairly certain that it's
You would think it'd be on HBO Max, but they did get rid of a lot of their Cartoon Network stuff, so I don't
yeah.
know. Um,
So it might actually be on uh Netflix at this point.
Yep, yep. So we will definitely be revisiting the world of Philip K. Dick sometime in the future, maybe sometime later this year. But in July, we've got coming up two big comic book movies, Superman and Fantastic Four. So we will be doing some Superman shows, and we'll be focusing on the Silver Surfer in the later
Mhm.
half of the month.
Yes, and I do thank you for that because I think we've well established that maybe Fantastic Four is not for me, um, but I do love Marvel Cosmic in general. So
Yeah,
uh, Silver Surfer may be more up my alley.
I'm starting to realize the older I get that Silver Surfer might be one of my favorite characters. He's just really cool.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so uh, I think the two we're reading is Silver Surfer Parable, which is by Stan Lee,
Hmm.
and then Silver Surfer Requiem, which I think is by J. Michael Straczynski. Which is interesting. I think they both deal with the death of Silver Surfer. I think that right now Marvel's doing a Death of Silver Surfer storyline. So
Hmm.
weird coincidence. If we have time, we might do a special bonus episode about Fantastic Four Superman crossover in the comic books.
Hmm. Yeah.
But next week, we're doing All Star Superman, the comic
Yep.
book. So super excited about that. It's been a while since I've read it. We'll be revisiting that. The following week, there's a little bit of debate about what it'll be a Superman episode. We're still kind of ironing out what it is. If we've
Hmm.
both seen the movie by then, we might just do a review of it. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
just see how our schedules go.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So we're super hyped about July. We both love Superman,
Hmm.
and we're both pretty hyped about the movie.
Have you been keeping up with like David Cornsweet in general?
I've gotten to a point where I'm starting to avoid trailers and stuff because they're starting to show too much.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. I'm just talking more about like just interviews with him.
I have not. No.
Um, I love this guy. um, like just as a person. Like here's the thing. He's a huge Star Wars fan. Like he'll bring up like he's talking about Superman. He'll bring up Star Wars like Henry Cavill would bring up Warhammer.
Like the publicist outside saying,
Yeah,
Superman,
yeah.
Superman.
Um, apparently he is really good friends with Will Reeves, Christopher Reeves' son. Um, and so there's actually an interview that where Will Reeves told a story where he says to David, he says, David, you don't need my blessing, but you have it. And I'm like, that's super cool. Um, it's one of those things that's like, and like there's marketing with David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Holt, and like they just look like that they're all really good friends and having fun, and I'm like, there at this point there's no way this movie can be bad because these people feel so genuine, you know?
I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. The only thing that gives me pause is he usually is dealing with sillier characters. But that's it. He can tell a he kind of reminds me a little bit of Oda when he does One Piece, where he can tell a fun story and all of a sudden rip your heart out
Hmm.
and break your heart. And he does it so well. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm getting tired of people saying, "Oh, it's not Superman," and then someone else will post a panel where, yeah, this is straight from a comic book. This is Superman. Stop it.
This is not Superman. Superman has muted colors, and he does not wear the trunks, and he snapped Zod's neck.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know. I don't know. Like
I get so frustrated. I'm
yeah,
like, the movie's not out yet, and everybody's just
yeah.
trashing it, and I'm like,
What
give it a chance. I think this is going to be a lot of fun and
and
really great.
another interesting thing uh, about about David is he was even like let me see if I can find this because I thought it was a great uh the show will end eventually, I promise. Uh, but I just need to show this because it obviously it's a big rivalry, right? Um, between Superman and Fantastic Four, not just because they are like if Superman and Iron Man or Superman and Thor were to come out in the same month, I don't think it would have as much weight as Fantastic Four because Fantastic Four they are kind of like Marvel's Superman where they're just unabashedly wholesome. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yes.
So
Did
let's see.
you? Okay, let's. Did you see the latest Fantastic Four trailer?
No, I didn't.
I don't think they understand the character of Thing at all. I really don't. um, the whole movie, they're trying to get him to say it's clobbering time. He won't do it. He's like, no, that's what the cartoon character says. I don't say that. And I'm just like, what the heck are you doing, Marvel?
Yeah. Uh oh, I'm not okay. I'm not going to be able to show this because it's a tweet, but it's a quote tweet. So the what the original person says
Mhm.
is not safe for our show.
Okay.
But essentially, um, there is a movie theater that put their giant Fantastic Four standee uh, in front of the Superman poster. Uh, obviously as a joke, but some may take that as a statement.
Mhm.
And someone posted a picture of it, said, "Nah, that's effed up. My local theater is doing Superman dirty." David Cornsweet uh, uh, retweeted that and said, no problem. All superheroes need backup from time to time, and salutes. So it's like even he is like, it's not about the rivalry. We're getting two potentially legendary superhero films in the same month, and potentially legendary. Definitely legacy wise, these two comic books are legendary. And so
If you had told me when I was 12 that we'll get Fantastic Four movie and several Superman movies, I'd be like, "What are you talking about? Superman's over. Superman 4, that was it.
Mhm.
This is it." So, yeah, we are beyond blessed when it comes to superhero movies. So, enjoy them. Don't, all these fights online get old.
Yeah, and you know what? If you like Henry Cavill, I like Henry Cavill as a person, and I think he's not my Superman, but I think he could have done great as Superman. But if you like that Superman, guess what? You have it.
Yep.
It's still there.
More power to you. Well, that's our show for the night. Like I said, join us next week for All Star Japan. All Star Japan, if you've never read it or watched the anime film, it is awesome.
Mhm.
And we'll be discussing it next week.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely encourage you to read along with us, so that way we can have some discussion as well. So I'm excited for next month, and then I think post July, I don't think we have anything planned, so I will probably need to get on that.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of October mapped out for Halloween.
For Halloween, yeah.
Yeah. I've got my compact copy of All Star Superman that I ordered sitting over on the shelf. I haven't really flipped through it yet, so hopefully the print won't be too small. We'll see. My eyes are getting bad. All right. Well, until next time, I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
We'll catch you next time in the deep end.
See ya.